Judson Wall wants to know. He wants to hear how the voicing of Michael's instruments has changed over the years, and what led him to make those changes, if any. Are you a tinkerer of braces? Are you constantly tapping on braces? Did you come up with a bracing scenario that you liked and you've stuck with it, or how has your bracing and your tuning evolved over your time in the job?
I, it's a good question. It's definitely changed a lot. I would say that when I first started building, I thought I knew way more than I did know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, you just call it whatever. Excitement of being a first-time guitar builder, and or just having an ego about it. Um, so of course I did everything experimental because I just assumed that whatever has been going on for the last 130 years was bunk, and I knew better,
Uh-huh.
uh, which was a ridiculous, asinine, position for me to have. So it took me a while to, come to my senses and pull my head out of my ass and realize right. The low hanging fruit is just that more is better.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you, for example, wanted to, make a more responsive guitar, the intuitive or easy way to think about it is, well, you just make things lighter.
Mm-hmm.
And in my personal experience, I found that to be counterproductive. There's some things you want to make lighter, but certainly not everything. But back to the original question. So I had, I kind of, in some ways, went back to kind of ground zero and started with traditional designs, meaning, Martin Gibson X braces, and started to work off of that and really listen to my own guitars, and just as important, listen to my own customers, and realize that, what I liked and didn't like about the guitars and my customers' feedback was very important. And, ultimately where I am now is some kind of hybrid model where I pretty much do a traditional bracing, but in terms of my arching patterns, plate thickness, and actually how I do the voicing has changed a lot. And if I could put it into words, which hopefully I can, is that there's some things about a traditional voice guitar that I really like, where it's really dry, punchy, clear sounding. If you play a chord, you can hear not only the chord, but you can hear the individual strings within the chord. For me, I like that kind of clarity. I like a lot of power, and I think a good vintage guitar has all those things. But some things about the contemporary sound, which I like, which is a kind of a thicker, richer trebles. And so I'm trying to kind of voice this hybrid between, say, a traditional guitar and the bass, more of a contemporary tone on the high end, and the middle is basically a mix of the two.
Mm-hmm.
So, all that being said, all this is highly subjective, and, what I hear in a guitar, I can hand to somebody and they may hear something completely different. And there's really no right or wrong about it. There's big psychoacoustic effects in terms of how our brain processes that information. We all have our own EQs and different amount of, wax in your ears. And I found that, I'll play a guitar several days in a row, and I find that my impressions of it change daily, and it may just depend on how strong my coffee was that morning. So,
Yeah, I think that's a good outlook too, because it seems like, yeah, if you strung a guitar up and you played it, and a lot of people are shipping guitars out within a matter of days after they string it up, you could be building impressions off your own instruments based on mood, and really changing things around kind of based on nothing. But I think that's good information, especially for young builders. That whole thing of the lightest guitar possible, like, like it seems like the lighter you build the tops, the more you start trending towards the sound of a banjo, really. Like, because you get everything so thin and it's making this racket, but nothing's being flavored by the sound of the wood. It's just all, just all noise coming off the top of the instrument. But
Yeah, I think you really nailed it there. In that, I think if you go too far in underbuilding a guitar, you're hearing more of the strings rather than the combination of the strings and the wood, and
yeah,
that the guitars can become kind of jangly, not to mention even potentially unstable.